Johnny Bravo.
Hello, I'm Johnny Bravo. Today you're going under the musical influence of today's guest, Michelle Korusek, on Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. This is the season finale of season 1, and we're going to talk to Michelle. You guys are in trouble. She is the boss, Applesauce. She is my boss, my wife. She is here to talk about all things music. So Michelle, tell us a little bit about your musical self.
Hello. So I have 0% music self when it comes to never worked at a music store, never worked in anything like that. I did work at the Amphitheater in Virginia Beach during the summers with my Aunt Peggy when I was home from college. But other than that, I'm just a lover of music and different genres of music, but really didn't work in music at all for the most part, I guess.
Well, you were at the Virginia Beach Amphitheater, which changed names several times, and you've seen a lot of shows there. I know we've talked about it in the past where you don't remember half the shows that you were doing because you were working them, but what was the years that you were there working with your Aunt Peggy and doing those shows? What do you think those years were?
Late 90s, like 97, 98, 99. Just during the summers, I would work the beer stands and stuff like that, but late 90s.
And how many shows do you think that you probably worked if you had to put on a number?
A lot. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin, dozens. Jimmy Buffett would come through every year. You had the same ones that would come through every year, and then you would have random ones. I mean, say 3 or 4 dozen.
Now, we'll get into talking about the concerts a little bit later on, but just with that, the amphitheater, does anything stand out as far as any of the shows that you remember besides maybe Buffett?
Well, I mean, I think that he just stands out the most just because it was more people watching when you're selling beer to people. And those were a very select group of fans compared to everyone else. No, I mean, sometimes I was in the back and I didn't get to see the show. You could vaguely hear it when I was selling beer and stuff like that. No, Buffett kind of stands out.
So when did you first discover music?
So I think it was probably just obviously when I was younger, my dad would play music in the car. We would sing as a family in the car. He kind of was our introduction to music. My Uncle Mike as well was an influence on music. So just people playing music, and I mean, we would listen to CCR and Fats Domino in the car, and we'd sing. We would tear up some Blueberry Hill as a kid. But Uncle Mike would put on Steve Martin's King Tut and stuff like that. So I mean, I think just more or less all the people around me, all the adults around me, just playing music, kind of just that good introduction.
We had Nicole on. Nicole's your cousin, and Uncle Mike is her dad, so he was a big influence on her and you.
Yeah.
Recently, I don't know if Mara talked about it on her podcast, but she was talking about King Tut. She was talking about with Shane and showing him King Tut, and I don't think he even realized what that was. And so that's a funny song from, Saturday Night Live that was on his comedy album. That is really kind of a cool record.
Yeah, I think when I was introduced to King Tut, I didn't even know what SNL was. It was solely based off of an album. I mean, we would just play it over and over, and I think we kind of was raised with Nicole as another sister. So we'd go over there and just play music, and then we would go to her grandma's and play music. And then most of my family, on my dad's side of the family, love Elvis. So I mean, that was always playing, and kind of he was the king. You didn't even call him Elvis; it was the king. So I mean, it kind of created that building block to the love of music.
When we were talking with Nicole, of course, we were talking about Aunt Peggy and Elvis being one of her favorites. And over the series of the podcast, just talking about Dr. Demento, with Bond, and we talked several times about Weird Al, and I think that was on the Brian show that we talked about Weird Al. So a lot of those kind of campy songs, speaking of King Tut, just kind of permeate all throughout this podcast. And it's kind of fun when you have just those not so serious songs that you remember along with the serious songs.
Yeah, we were totally I grew up with 2 sisters, obviously, when we were young, but we would make up dances to Neil Diamond of all. I remember America, and my little sister would pop up after our little dance, or Madonna. It's really funny that she and I still will call each other, or we acknowledge that stupid dance to Cherish. It's even based off the beat of what happens in the video, but you just have dances, and I don't know, you kind of, I guess because we were all brought up together or raised together, that we all had that same influence, but it kind of, I don't know, this kind of sticks with you, a little bit of part of you, so you keep going back to that same music for comfort, I guess.
Brian talked about Fraggle Rock, and we didn't have a lot of songs like that. We had like the storybook tapes, that kind of vinyl, thing, but we didn't really have, like, I think our kids had like the classical stuff where you could watch the DVDs and what was it, like Einstein? Yeah. And so we didn't really have that kind of stuff, but some of those songs that permeate, I just think that it's fun to kind of look back over those kind of songs and they kind of permeate because we were young and we remember those songs, but also we put them in with the classics. I mean, Steve Martin is Steve Martin. And but at the time, people really didn't know Steve Martin. And it's just funny that song permeates when he was kind of big time and King Tut was just like a big deal.
Yeah, you don't say Steve Martin and think of him as a singer before you think of him as a comedian. I mean, what I grew up, I was in color guard when I was in middle school. My sister was in band, so we would take these long trips. I mean, not super long trips. They were long trips to us. We would go to Williamsburg and stuff like that. And we loved Phantom of the Opera. And now when I listen to it, now Mara's listening to it. Zane's not a fast fan of it, but my little sister still listens to it and other people have liked it because we've listened to it. You talk about permeating your life, but it now kind of permeates through us to the kids or to other people, and how fantastic. And most people may not appreciate Phantom the way I do. It's a good album if you've never given it a chance.
With the sing-alongs and, being with the nieces and nephews, I remember, wasn't a Gage, it was a Payne who was in the back just kind of wailing Phantom.
Yeah.
And then we had other show tunes that we were playing. Those things are really fun. And then, just like you talked about Neil Diamond, and our family has the Neil Diamond song from the Beautiful Girls soundtrack. And we always put that on, and we're always doing the kind of the song from Beautiful Girls when they're doing, his song. And that's just a great thing. And, speaking of Phantom, and I know you probably didn't bring him up, but I'll bring it up. I'll never live that down when I fell asleep, when we were in New York.
You didn't even just wake up. Dude woke himself up like with a snore and startled himself awake on Broadway. It was embarrassing. It was mortifying. It is a brilliant show. We saw it up there. I've seen the touring shows, and then we actually went to Liberty and saw some of our friends' kids up there performing it. But that's a fantastic show, and to fall asleep on Broadway, it's embarrassing.
To my, I guess we were walking around New York all day, and so it was like, it wasn't the middle of the night, but it was like I was tired from walking around New York all day, so I had to catch a nap somewhere.
Embarrassing.
So, Phantom was where I caught the nap.
Embarrassing. There's nothing else. There's no excuse that would justify that. It's Phantom of the Opera, and it is brilliant. Andrew Lloyd Webber outdid himself.
Well, I have tried to make up for it. I did buy you the whole, vinyl copy with the book and everything to try to make up for it.
Pristine condition, too.
It was great condition.
I have to say, of all your albums, I've only listened to it once, but it is pristine. And the book inside with, every lyric to the entire play, because, it's not really an album, more of a play, is in there, and beautiful pictures of the Broadway show. It's just gorgeous. That was a great find, because I've never seen it and never would have thought it really existed in that condition.
Amara, who was on the show as well, one of her, I think we talked about it on Spotify. She was like the #1 fan for Andrew Lloyd Webber on Spotify because she listens to Phantom and probably other things from Andrew Lloyd Webber so much.
Yeah, she's a little bit more eclectic when it comes to, I guess, Broadway shows than I am. I stick with Phantom. It's kind of my go-to when I'm upset, my go-to when I'm stressed. I just can put that on and just kind of escape in that, where she's across the board when it comes to Broadway. She likes Wicked and Rent, and I haven't quite given those a chance. I probably should, considering I'm telling other people to give Phantom a chance, but Phantom's goes too far back to not appreciate it on the level I do.
Well, and you talk about your sisters and Nicole and bringing the nieces and nephews and stuff into that genre of music and having them be big fans of making up dances and all that kind of stuff. So you see that just kind of permeates throughout family as well, and our kids have a really eclectic mix of music, can speak to a lot of different artists, and so it's really great that they're able to do that.
Yeah, I love nothing more than we're in the car singing, and we've done it since the kids were little. We'd go down to Florida at least once a year, and we would always drive because it's just super expensive to fly everyone down there and then get a rental car. But we had like CDs of Disney songs, and the kids will still want to play that, and it's really sweet when they're little doing it, but it's actually very endearing that they still want to do it, and they're 19 and 16, or they want to do sing-alongs, and we have different parts of even modern music. I love when we're in the car, all four of us, and it's kind of just reminds me when they're younger, but I don't know. I guess it's a little nostalgic.
And it's nothing like the scene in Step Brothers when they're doing Guns N' Roses.
No, I'm not wrecking the car or anything like that. However,
and we're like, you're not going, oh.
I'm a terrible singer. I can tear it up in the shower. I sound pristine in the shower. I've never claimed to be a great singer. I can sing, and that's about the extent of my singing. I would never pay someone to try to teach me because I am not good. However, it's so much fun in the car. Roll down the windows a little bit and I really sound good, just being drowned out a little bit. I love when we all sing in the car. I think it's fun. And then now that they're DJing, we have Bluetooth and stuff like that in the cars these days. You know, they can play DJ and play different things for all of us to sing to.
Yeah, and it's funny what they'll bring up and play. And, Mara was talking about on her podcast about Hotel California and what that reminds her of. It reminds her of Florida, which is, I just thought,
it doesn't remind me of Florida. It reminds me of Zayn. And I know she talked about that video of Zayn playing the air drums. And I do have that video somewhere. It's actually because at the time I didn't realize what portrait mode and landscape mode was. And so I did it in portrait mode. So it's sideways. But it is the cutest thing. His eyes are closed and he's into it. I mean, air drumming. He's probably 3-ish and he was tearing up some air drums. He was getting into it. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know why she associates it with Florida, but I do love some Hotel California. I probably would say that's probably our first song that as a family we all sang when they were younger that wasn't Disney.
Yeah, and Zayn, he was also on the podcast and he didn't really talk about that, but he used to drum and he had his eyes closed. He was getting it. I mean, he was just hardcore drumming.
He could have been in a concert somewhere tearing up his air drums.
Yeah. He was just tearing Hotel California up. Well, speaking of all this music and all these songs that we listen to, getting, back to you, what is the first song that you remember?
So probably, okay, I know this is embarrassing, but seriously, remember the Letter People song. I know that's odd, but it was the first thing that popped in my mind when I thought about this question when I was in kindergarten and they're teaching you letters, because now we're like producing uber smart kids. And so you're supposed to be able to do calculus in kindergarten. But, back in the day when we were younger, we learned our letters in kindergarten. And so we had the Letter People. And because my name started with M, I got to hold the M and there was a song to it. And it's I'm Mr. M with a munching mouth. My mouth goes munch, munch, munch. I'm not going to keep singing it because I really can't sing well, but I sing that song all the time and it's very bizarre that I remember it. It's an odd thing to remember. But normal music, I'd say probably Michael Jackson, of course. I mean, that Thriller album, but when Thriller came out, they had it on DVD too, the video, and it was the making of the video, and we would rent it over and over and over and over again, much to the chagrin of Nicole and my sister Jennifer. They were afraid of it. And I'm pretty sure it was Nicole was also afraid of it. I might be looping her in, but Jennifer was afraid of it. She would sit on the front porch while we were watching it. And I just thought it was so mesmerizing. Just the song in itself is fantastic, but the video was so cool. And so I think Michael Jackson was the first of the music that I felt like I was getting into rather than, listening to my dad's music. It was something that I would listen to.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the Letter People because Bond brought up the Letter People and I had never heard of the Letter People.
I don't remember him saying that.
Yeah, he brought up the Letter People as well. And I'm like, I don't know, like who the Letter People is. Sometimes I don't say that on the podcast. Like I think I did on a few of them. But I had no idea what the Letter People were. I hadn't heard any of that kind of stuff. So that's funny that you guys have that.
I must have missed it. I listened to it while I'm at work. So maybe I had a patient at that moment. Yeah, I don't know why I remember that, but I sing it periodically and I've sung it to other people. I went to a Virginia Beach elementary school. So I don't know if it's local, but he's from Florida. So I don't know. And much younger than me. So.
Yeah, Jacksonville. So, totally different area. But I swear he brought up the Letter People. Maybe I'm mistaken. I'll have to go back and listen too. But you brought up Michael Jackson, and that a lot of people, know Thriller because it was such a huge album. And if you go back and look at the albums from, those years, like I think 1984, there wasn't as many number one, albums. There was only like a handful. To 82, 83, Michael Jackson was blowing up the charts with the album Thriller. But the video, like you mentioned, was huge too. I mean, in his movies and different things, I remember when we went to Epcot, EO was up there. And so his movies and videos were big as well. And you guys looking at that, the behind the scenes was so cool. Just the special effects and everything. I mean, that was a major production. People don't realize the amount of time went into those videos. So it was pretty scary as well. going into Thriller.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. More so that, I mean, I loved the music, but just you got to hear him talking, and he was a normal person, and you don't see that side. Well, back then you didn't see that side of celebrities. You didn't see that personal side. It was, here's the song, here's the video, and it's, a made up story in the video. That behind the scenes was so amazing just because you got to hear him talk and hear what he heard or sounded like. And I don't know, I was mesmerized as a child, and it was the video, but thought it was so neat to hear him as a normal person, explaining what's happening and laughing and going out and then watching them film. It was very cool.
You bring up a good point too. I'm a little bit older than you, by a few years. And when we had the records and we were playing records, you would hear the artists, and that's all you really knew. So you knew if it was a girl or a guy or a band or whatever, but you didn't really know a lot about them. You would have to get magazines and find out, and that kind of thing. But when MTV came along, you really got a chance to see the artists, to see the song. You talk about Madonna, you talk about Michael Jackson, to actually see those folks on the TV, and okay, because when I first heard Madonna, I thought she was African American. I didn't realize that she was a white singer, when I first heard her, because she sounded so soulful until MTV came along. I'm like, oh, okay. And, Michael Jackson and all these different artists coming up, and you're just like, wow, it's just so amazing to see them. And they, it is a video and they are doing some silly things or whatever, but I think Michael really took it to another level. He really tried to make it like a mini movie, and then everybody was blowing their budget up to try to get a video as good as him. I don't know if anybody ever reached that level, but
no. And I'm not gonna say no, like it's the all answers. If you think back to even some of his Beat It, and even later on, like do you remember the Time and stuff like that? There's a whole story to make I don't want to say the song makes sense, but to tie the song into the storyline. I don't know. It just pulled you in. Didn't have to be an hour and a half movie or a 2-hour movie. This was, a 2 or 3 minute song that you were invested in and you loved, and you would watch it over and over. And I remember the mid 80s, we got a VCR, but we would record the videos, and my dad was in on that. He got very upset one time because we recorded over his. We would record the video so we could watch them whenever we wanted. And so we would watch MTV and wait for the video to start and then go and press record real quick so we could have it. But some of the videos were really bad. And then, just some of them were just amazing. And you just needed to watch them as much as you could, because obviously we couldn't just jump on YouTube and watch it when we wanted to.
You bring up a good point there. We've talked a lot about cassette tapes on the show, and I know Chris had brought it up and some others. Actually, I think Brian too, where we would take the cassette tape and hold it down, and when the DJ stopped talking, we would hit record so we'd have the song, because we were too cheap to be able to get it. Mom wouldn't give us any money. Then you bring up a good point with the VCR. Was when VCRs came out. My sister Faith and I, we would take, at the end of the year, they would do like the MTV countdown. We would record like the whole countdown when they started doing the countdown. So every year we had like the top 100 videos on videotape, and sometimes that would be like 4 videotapes, but we would want to record it to have all those videos so we could watch them back later. It was just something to have, before you have all this digital stuff where you can just put it on, the TiVo or whatever it is now.
Did you really just say TiVo?
I did say TiVo. I know, it is embarrassing.
Like straight early 2000s.
Yeah. So whatever it is now.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't want to say I have friends who made me mixtapes. Jessica was always giving me a mixtape. I didn't make mixtapes for myself. It was just something I didn't really get into. My roommate in college made me mixtapes. I have to say that we watched videos more than putting on albums and records and, different stuff. But I think it was just more of the draw of the video, because my dad also enjoyed it. So he would be sitting right beside us watching MTV. Until it got late and it switched. We definitely recorded more. We definitely did the radio thing that you're saying with recording that, especially if it was a single that hadn't come out, or you're waiting for it to come out, or you didn't want the whole album like you were saying. But when it comes to videos, we did a lot of recording of videos. You
bring up another good point with recording, that, and then people, doing the tapes. I remember you had sleepy time tapes, like you would listen to Enya to go to sleep. You had like tapes that you would listen to so you could go to sleep at night. I think, who made those for you? Fatima, yeah, I thought that's who it was, but I didn't know if that was right or not. But yeah, and we had Jessica on the last show, and you guys had some songs back and forth and playing songs, and those are always fun. I'm not going to bring up any
we're not going to rehash those, but they are fun. And it's not just even Jessica. There's songs that you and I will text back and forth, or even the kids or my sister Kristen. And then there's songs that come on and it'll make me think of my dad or my family or my sister Jennifer. And like you had said before, like when Four Non Blondes plays, anyone in my family should automatically think of Jennifer. I mean, just certain songs that just throw you back to a time or just help you remember. And I kind of had a rough year this year. So there's some songs that I don't want to listen to. And I'll know I'll get back around to wanting to listen to them again because they make me think of somebody. And right now it's just, it still hurts a little bit too much. But one day I'll get back into those, listening to some songs, but I don't know. Just something about videos and making you enjoy songs that, make you think of when you were young or even growing up or even when you were really little.
And I know you don't do a lot of documentaries, but you really should watch that I Want My MTV documentary. It would bring back a lot of memories probably for you and MTV. Mara came in on a little bit of it and I was talking to her a little bit about like Madonna and how people would dress up like her, and they had Run DMC and Aerosmith, and how we lost our minds to that when they came together and was doing their video and breaking down walls, and they were literally breaking down walls while they were breaking down a fake wall in the video.
Well, if somebody would wait and watch documentaries with me instead of telling me to watch them later on, i.e. the Beatles on HBO right now, somebody asked me if I watched them, or he came in to the bedroom, started watching it in the middle of the night when I was asleep and woke me up from it just being loud. But no, I would probably watch it if someone invited me to watch it before.
Trying to figure out who that might be that didn't ask you to watch that stuff. And you are a big Beatles fan, so maybe they should have really asked you to watch that with them. I don't understand why they did. Yeah. And you probably still haven't watched it because
I have not.
That person probably watched the whole thing, all 3 episodes without you.
I can guarantee that he did.
He's been playing Let It Be like on repeat, I think. And the Let It Be Naked on repeat as well.
Yes.
And I don't know who that could be.
I don't know. And blowing up Leonard Skinner last night, the documentary, I mean, never mind that someone has to get up at, 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work and you got to sleep in today, but we won't say anything about that.
I don't know who you're talking about. This bodes really well for, I think, a break. We can take a break and then we can come back.
You need a break.
I think I'm going to need a break too, just to collect my thoughts. So we'll be right back. Hang on. We are back. I'm Johnny Bravo. You're going under the musical influence of today's guest, Michelle Korusek, on Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. Season 1 finale. We are at the finale, episode 10 with Michelle. So let's talk about your boyfriends, Michelle. Do you have a song, that couple song that you remember? Is there any boyfriends you want to talk about?
Okay, dude. The only couple song I have in my past is with my husband. And honestly, we didn't have a song. We didn't have a song, and we didn't even have a date he asked me out. We just kind of started seeing each other.
And then at our wedding, we didn't have any music anyway.
We had 0% of anything. We had a
really tough day.
We need a redo of the wedding reception. We were just talking about this yesterday or the day before.
We need to have like a rock and roll band
we need something. A redo of a reception. It was a little
we need more than 80s
dramatic
Joel.
At our wedding. Yeah. John's best man passed away, his grandfather.
My grandfather, the day of our wedding.
Yeah. So it would be nice to have a redo and have music and, dance. We didn't get to do all of that. It was a little too much going on. However,
never really had a song either.
We did not have a
song. I don't even know how we came up
with
having a song.
I know the story because I know.
Because you know the story. Because I could, when we were talking about it on Mars podcast, I couldn't even remember the song. Like it took me, did you go back, you probably listened to that podcast, did you see how long it took me to come up with the name of the song?
Maybe it was embarrassing and I would have edited that out.
So I think I edited most of that out. I didn't.
It was already lengthy. So if you edit it, it's embarrassing.
I probably didn't edit that part out where I couldn't remember the name of the song.
Let me help you out. You were DJing your cousin's parents or cousin-in-law's parents' anniversary, I think.
Was this the one about the T-shirt?
Yes.
Oh, that's, yeah.
I was just there to kind of just sit and keep you company. You played that song and you grabbed my hand and we danced to it. So I think by default that was the first time we had kind of danced. Because we were definitely not dating then, I don't think. No, you know what we were? We were already living together because that was...
Oh, now you're just telling all our business.
I don't know. I think it was it 99?
I don't know. I don't know any of that stuff.
Anyway, that's when we first danced to it. So then after that, it was Wonderful Tonight by Elton John. Mara does
Elton John.
I mean, not Elton John.
Oh, see, look at that.
Oh, hush, leave me alone.
We'll edit that out.
Okay, thank you.
No, I won't.
Ooh,
I'm gonna leave that in.
Didn't mean to say that, but Mara does say it is cocaine and not Wonderful Tonight. At least I could remember the song.
It's Eric Clapton.
I do know it's Eric Clapton.
Yeah, I know you do.
I don't know why I said Elton John.
And Cocaine comes on before on the album Wonderful Tonight.
But you know what? I can hear Wonderful Tonight in the car, and this is how much she has changed me. Normally, I would rush to play it for you or, send you a text of it playing. And now more so when Cocaine is playing that I want to send you the text than Wonderful Tonight. But Wonderful Tonight hits me in the feels. It's a sweet song. Has great lyrics. He has a little bit of baby about it in the lyrics, but aren't most men. So
True.
It's very appropriate.
It is a very appropriate song. I don't know what made me pick that song, but that's really cool.
It wasn't intentionally picked.
Well, and I showed up to that party not dressed up in a suit or anything because I was moving equipment and got in trouble because is it what you're wearing? Like, no, this is not what I'm wearing. I got a suit. I brought a suit, but I'm not moving equipment.
Yeah, that was my first introduction to that.
Yeah, it was really nice. I know. We love people, but we don't really like people. But we do.
No, I could move to Belize on one of the private islands, and I would be completely okay with it.
It would be fine. And Wonderful Tonight, I don't know if you know this, and, because I've been watching all this Beatles stuff and looking up all this Beatles stuff, that George Harrison's wife was actually, I guess, with Eric Clapton, and they wrote a bunch of songs about her, and Wonderful Tonight was one of the songs they wrote about her.
So I do know that, but I don't, I think I watched a documentary.
Yeah, they wrote a bunch of songs about her, so if you go back and look that up, they've actually, I'm not sure if he was married to her as well. I know George Harrison and her were married, but she had a lot of songs written about her back in the 60s, 70s. Wonderful Tonight being one of them.
I have nothing to say.
You have nothing for that. But anyway, that's our song, Wonderful Tonight by Elton John.
I do love it.
You didn't even notice I said Elton John, did you?
Oh, I did. You dork.
Eric Clapton.
It does hit me in the feels. It's a sweet song and, kind of does remind me that I still kind of like you. So.
Oh, after all these years, you still kind of like me sometimes. I have charisma, so that sometimes gets me out of trouble. Well, most of the time gets me out of trouble.
No. We've been together too long for charisma to work anymore, buddy.
Well, maybe it's the magic pixie dust.
It could be. It absolutely could be. Who knows?
All right. So we're not going to say anything more about that because then that would get us into some trouble. And I got in trouble on the Jessica podcast for bringing up something I shouldn't have brought up. So I'm going to skip to the next question and ask you, what was your first concert that you went to or the first concert that you remember?
My first concert was Johnny Cash. I know that's random because I'm not a country fan, but we were living in Cuba. We were living in Gitmo, and he came. And I wish I knew who Johnny Cash was at the time because now I would totally appreciate that concert. But I do remember him singing several songs. But honestly, I've seen the playlist, and it's so unfortunate I didn't know who he was at the time. I do remember him singing Ragged Old Flag, and I remember him introducing that song before he was talking before the song, and he wanted everyone to sing it super loud. And he said, because he wanted Castro to hear it. And okay, at the time I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. So like around 9 years old. I remember being so afraid of Castro, first of all, because when you lived on the base, like you had sirens. So if Castro attacked the base, so like you were, very vigilant of there was somebody who wanted to hurt you on the other side of the island. It just scared me that he was talking about it, but I didn't know the song. I didn't appreciate it. I wish I would have, but that was my first concert. It was more out of it. He was there and, most of the people on the base came to see him. That was it. It was uneventful, but it was probably very cool. I just didn't appreciate it at the time.
Well, and you guys were in Cuba for how long?
2 years.
Your dad was in the Army, so he was stationed down there?
No, he was civil service at the time.
Oh, civil service. So he was down there.
He was in the Army, but no, at the time he was stationed down. I mean, he was sent down there for a civil service job for the Department of Defense.
Yeah, you guys have a bunch of stories about Cuba, which are really neat. Guantanamo Bay, is that where you guys were?
Yeah.
I do know some things.
Well, that's what Gitmo is, babe.
Yeah, Gitmo. Well, some people might not know what Gitmo is.
But no, I mean, Maura's her best friend's brother-in-law goes down there still, and he's brought us back a banana rat for my dad. Not a live one, it is a stuffed animal. It's changed so much, but I have the best memories down there. No, that was my first. I kind of wish looking at that playlist that I would have known who he was because, I mean, he started the concert with Ring of Fire. I had no clue. Who is this person? It's so sad and embarrassing. It wasn't my dad's kind of, music that he listened to. And so I just didn't have that background yet. My
dad liked Johnny Cash, and we were in Tennessee. We actually went to his house and saw his cars, and I don't know if you took that Johnny tour or not.
No, thank God. I'm not.
we went out and saw that, and I've always wanted to go to, you know, like the museum and stuff like that out in Tennessee, but you know, you never let me, you know, go that far into Nashville when we're together.
Well, that's because if we're going to Tennessee, we're going to Memphis to visit my dad, and it is a long trip in itself. Who wants to stop when you still have, you know, 3 hours left? You just want to get there. And I'm the type of person where you don't stop to do anything except to get gas. And when you get gas, that's when you pee and get food. I don't stop for extra things. So I'm not stopping in Nashville. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a relief that time that I went with your stepsisters to, you know, see the Graceland, which I'd seen a million times.
We went to see Graceland together.
But I was actually able to like go to the gates, and I was actually able to go, you know, look at the fence and just all kinds of stuff that they allowed me to like read stuff.
I cannot even believe that you're pretending like I wouldn't let you do something like that. However, good for you. I'm glad you enjoyed it without me.
Well, what other concerts do you remember?
What other concerts do I remember?
Or what concerts stick out for you?
I mean, I went to a few with Uncle Mike. I saw CCR with my dad. I mean, ones when I was a little bit younger. My most favorite concert was the Wall concert with Roger Waters doing the Wall, just because I didn't think that would be ever something I would be able to see. I mean, it was, I cried, and I do cry often. And so, I mean, I am an emotional person, and things hit me in the feels, including commercials, and that is okay. But the Wall, when he started playing it, I boohooed like it was embarrassing. I ugly cried in the middle of a concert, but it was fantastic. Oh my goodness. If he came back through, he's very political. I'm not into politics. It stresses me out. I don't like that people bring it in, celebrities bring it in. I don't care what other people think about their politics. It's personal. He's very political. But on that tour, he stuck straight to the Wall and went from the first song to the last song. And it was fantastic, including like, you know, bringing in local kids to do Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. It was so cool.
Leave your damn politics at home. Like, you're here to do a concert. Like, I don't want to have to hear all that. I didn't go see the Beastie Boys that I got invited to because of all their politics. And I really wish I would have gone to that show because, you know, I like the Beastie Boys, but I didn't want to go because I knew they were going to talk about a lot of politics stuff.
Well, and, you know, I know it's not music, but like back when Bill Cosby was old school Bill Cosby, we were going to go see him doing stand up, but he was so political at the time. I don't know. Now, Roger Waters is super political. I mean, like, dude is not even American and has like anti-Trump stuff. I really don't care what people think when it comes to politics. If I'm paying a lot of money for a concert ticket, I don't want to feel like I'm there for a political rally. And his last concert did feel like a political rally. But that Wall concert, amazing. If he ever came back through, I would say if he did that concert, I would go and see it again. It was amazing.
Well, and your daughter brought that concert up, and she was upset, you know, the first concert that we went to for the Wall, because, you know, you share a story about a concert that your dad and Jennifer went to.
Yeah, so when Pink Floyd was touring on the Division Bell, my dad took Jennifer to see it, and he said I wasn't old enough. She and I were only a year and 20 months apart, and I was not old enough. I think I was in the 10th grade because she came and rubbed it in my nose because she got picked up early from school and came to my Spanish class and said goodbye to me. And I thought, that was so dirty. She made sure I knew that she was leaving early for the concert. They did bring me back a t-shirt. That's all I got. I'm not going to say that's all I got. You know, tour t-shirts are expensive. And it was tie-dye and super cool, but would have much rather have gone. Now, knowing what I know now, not a fan of the Division Bell so much. So I won't let anyone well, I guess Jennifer and Dad are both gone now, but I wouldn't have let them know that it didn't bother me because, I mean, I carried that with me for a long time.
And I was just about to ask you if that's why you didn't like the Division Bell.
You know what? Maybe it is.
Maybe subconsciously it's like, I don't like the Division Bell because I just got this stupid t-shirt and I didn't go to the concert.
I've never given it a chance again. I don't know, but I'm not a fan of the Division Bell. I tend to like Roger Waters more than David Gilmour. Although, I mean, this is kind of skipping ahead. My favorite song is not a Roger Waters song. So I do find that odd. But the Division Bell, yeah, it's just not on my top Pink Floyd albums.
Yeah, we listened to all of Pink Floyd, but mainly the middle part of Pink Floyd from 75 on. Yeah, 75 to like 83 is when we usually listen. Well, no, probably 87. So probably a 10-year span there. Listen to Pink
when
Floyd.
Things were good.
Yeah, when things were good. When they were Pink Floyd.
Before the division bell.
Before the division bell. Nicole really says to Mara and everybody else to really listen to the division bell. And I have the division bell. But it's just not something I pick either.
Yeah, it's never at the top of my list. And maybe you're right. Maybe I owe you a copay for therapy. Maybe that's why I don't listen to it. I have never given it a chance. It's never, I almost get angry about it. So maybe it is a little psychological, defense mechanism of my feelings back in the 10th grade. Thank you very much for bringing those up. I'm sure I won't be depressed after this. Yeah, I don't give that album a chance. And I guess it's good. I don't know.
You're like subconsciously, that damn t-shirt. That's all I got was that damn t-shirt for the division bell.
And you know what? After a few washings, the vinyl part on the shirt started coming separated from the actual t-shirt. So it's not like the shirt lasted very long. It was a very cheap, expensive tour t-shirt.
Oh my goodness, she's got so much energy on this division bell. Oh my goodness. We'll go to the next question, and so we can get off the division bell. So maybe we can get you back in your happy mode. What was the first music purchase that you have? Was it vinyl? Was it tape? Was it CD? Was it stream?
My first vinyl, that I bought for myself was the Dirty Dancing soundtrack. It was two of them. It was Dirty Dancing Part 1, and then the other one was called More Dirty Dancing. Not Part 1, it was just called Dirty Dancing. And the second one was More Dirty Dancing, which weren't as popular of the songs. I bought that one myself. I got it from Birdland in Virginia Beach, which we still go to periodically. I've done some record store days down there for you. It is a little cramped place, and they have figured it out the way he lays it out, and they're pretty nice about getting you in and out, but I will get there early just so I don't have to deal with people because I don't do crowds very well. My first CD, again from Birdland, was the Back to the Future soundtrack, which again I think is a funny choice considering that was later 80s, so maybe a few years after the movie came out. I guess that's probably one of the few things that I was allowed to pick for myself, because I remember going home and it was in the plastic long thing, and we had just gotten a CD player for our bedroom. It had a turntable at the top, and then the CD popped out almost like a tape deck, and then we had a tape deck at the bottom, so we were able to go out and buy CDs for ourselves. So I think it was, we were back from Cuba at that time, so probably like 89 or so.
A lot of soundtracks, and we know a lot of not only do we know a lot of music in our house, but we know a lot of movie lyrics. I've been talking about Step Brothers like this whole time, but we do a lot of movie scenes, and Top Gun is one of them. I know that we always do.
We test ourselves on what, if a song comes on the radio too, what does it remind you of?
And it's normally a movie is what you're thinking about. What movie
is it from?
And I never get it right with some of the stuff that you're listing, because I'm like, I don't know what movie that is.
Yeah. Now my coworker Rick, he's pretty good at them too, so he and I can banter back and forth with not lyrics, but with quotes from movies, but also music. He's pretty good with it. Yeah, I don't know why I got Back to the Future. It might have just been what was there, and I just wanted to get something. I remember even where it was on the far left of the building. So I don't know why it was so monumental that I bought this for myself. My grandparents took us over there to get it. Now I do remember, if you want to bring in a little bit more Pink Floyd drama, I bought Pulse, if you remember, Pulse Pink Floyd CD when it first came out. Bought it from the wall because I needed to have the little blue sticker.
Jessica.
Yes. And I was pressed because they would put that on there, and let me tell you, you babied that sticker to make sure it didn't get messed up. But if you recall, the Pulse CD actually pulsed. It had a light on the side of it, and it just blinked. And my sister Jennifer loaned my double CD that I paid with my own money out to one of her friends, and he never returned it. So, and she didn't ask, of course, because that's what good sisters do, is they borrow things without asking. I never had Pulse again, which might be why I don't listen to Pulse. I don't know.
Just bringing up all kinds of Pink Floyd drama today, and didn't even realize that there was just so much drama.
I might have a little bit of energy on later Pink Floyd.
And maybe this is the reason why, because your sister Jennifer just totally ruined not only the division bell, but Pulse as well.
Yeah, she also smashed a cupcake in my hair when we were in school. There's some good memories there, but yeah, I don't know why I have energy on that, but I definitely do.
And the song Wish You Were Here, when we hear that song, it reminds us of Jennifer. Not all the time, but for me it does.
Yeah,
you it does a little bit. No. Maybe just me.
Yeah, I don't think of
you have
Jennifer
energy with Pink Floyd and Jennifer, so probably it wouldn't be a Pink Floyd song that reminds you of Jennifer.
No, I mean, on the Turning Away does, because they played that at her funeral. No, when I hear Wish You Were Here, I think that reminds me of my dad's side of the family, because they played that at Jesse's funeral.
Oh, that's right. That is true.
So it probably reminds me, if I have to think of someone to think of, it would probably be Jesse. No, I'm not throwing Jennifer under the bus. She's not here to defend herself. Just saying, those are valid and true stories. Might be my reason that I'm not a fast fan of later Pink Floyd.
Yeah, it could be Pink Floyd drama there that we've uncovered.
Therapy after this too.
Well, and I worked at Sam Goody at the time that the Pulse came out, and we sold so many of those. Yeah, Pulse, sorry. Zane always gives me a hard time because I put the in front of some stuff. But Pulse, we sold a lot of Pulse with the blinking.
Oh my goodness, that would be amazing. Not that we sit around listening to CDs anymore. I don't know. It was expensive. I remember it being expensive. At the time when I was working, I worked at McDonald's. It was hard to earn money. I mean, I could work 80 hours for 2 weeks and my paycheck would still only be $300. You baby that money. Pay more than I do now, which is really unfortunate. So I would buy singles and stuff like that. So like when Wyclef came out, I bought his single to Carnival instead of buying the whole album and stuff like that, which is why I like the single version of Gone Till November instead of the actual album version, because I only bought the single. I mean, the album's great, but I like that single better. But when Pulse came out, I was like, oh no, I've got to have it. It's blinking and everything. I mean, it ran off like 2, I think, AA batteries or something. Anyway, amazing. I don't own it anymore, so I'm sure it's amazing in someone's home.
Sold so many of those. And I recently just found you the Wyclef on vinyl, which was a really cool find. But you do sing the lyrics to the single version. Every time that the album version is playing, you're singing a different set of lyrics, and people are looking at you like, why aren't you singing along with the song that's playing?
I do like the single version, and it's definitely because that's the one I owned. I think it's a cleaner version. I don't know. It just flows better, I think. But it's probably because I heard it way more, because I would put it on repeat and repeat and repeat.
And what I love about Wyclef,
he talks about himself in third person.
Yes, I love that about Wyclef, because Wyclef's always
Is that what you were going to say?
I was, exactly what I was going to say. Because Wyclef is like, I love Wyclef because Wyclef is so Wyclef. And if Wyclef can't be Wyclef, then I don't know what Wyclef can be.
The way he speaks. It drives me bananas.
And I met them twice. You know that Johnny tour.
Yes, I've definitely been on that
Johnny tour. I saw them at BET.
Paid my 25
before the score came out. And then later on at the concert with Jimmy, he was acting like, I was acting like I was going to throw up so we could get through the audience. And we got through the audience because the place was so packed for the show. And we went backstage and was hanging out with the Fugees. And he was rapping with, Wyclef and Praz. And I was talking to Lauren. It was pretty cool.
Look at you, thinking you're best friends.
I know. I won't bring up something else because then I'll really get in trouble. But maybe it's time to take another break.
Okay.
Let's take another break. We'll be right back.
You are still under the influence with DJ Johnny Bravo.
We are back. I'm Johnny Bravo. You're going under the musical influence of today's guest, Michelle Korusek, on Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. It is the season finale of season 1. And Michelle, what's your favorite song?
So it's a Pink Floyd song.
Surprise, surprise.
It's Learning to Fly. It's off of Momentary Lapse of Reason, which is actually a non-Roger Waters album.
And it's a later Pink Floyd. You do like later Pink Floyd.
I do. That album is fantastic, but is not my norm to like later Pink Floyd, excuse me. I also am equal opportunity with several different artists, but my favorite song is definitely Learning to Fly. It is a beautiful song, and if you don't know the lyrics, I implore you to look them up and read them. I don't know, it just hits you in the feels, and you can get in a good headspace and really just reflect on life in general.
The later Pink Floyds that we were talking about from like 75 on, had that whole like album, experience where the whole thing had, like a title, or what do they call it? I can't think what they say it is. That you're looking at me like, like it was about something. Theme. That could be it.
A subject. Yeah.
So, not just a group of songs like most artists put out. Pink Floyd had that a lot. And Learning to Fly sort of kind of had that a little bit, but it was mainly not Waters, but what's his name?
David Gilmour.
Gilmour's like passion. I guess he had just been learning to fly. And so he wrote that song.
Everything I know about it was their leap into Pink Floyd without Roger Waters, because they had that falling out, and so it was them moving on. I don't get into all of the politics of inside bands. I just appreciate the music. Again, I don't know how to say that. I know that they had a falling out, but what came of it was a beautiful album and a beautiful song, and I can appreciate that. I don't know, I have never done a deep dive on it, but I love those lyrics. Time is another one. It is probably my family's favorite song. It's the song we were singing in the car together when we were kids. My dad introduced us to that song. And again, that is a song that if you reflect on the lyrics, it really does make you pause and reflect on your life and how you spend time with people. Or if you're sitting on a telephone, supposed to be, instead of spending time with someone and talking to them at dinner or something like that, how easily life can change and how quickly time can slip past you and you've missed that time with someone. It's a great song, but that's probably our family song. My dad, my sisters, if somebody plays that or if it's on the radio, I immediately think of my dad and my family.
Mine is, it's not my favorite song, but it's if you're talking about Pink Floyd, is Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. That's the one that I always remember.
That's probably my least favorite.
I just always remember that one, and I don't know, maybe it's because I didn't really like school, and it's like, so it's like this, it's this like anti-anthem about school. Not really, but maybe in my world it is.
Well, I think it's overplayed on the radio, first of all, and if for non-Pink Floyd fans, they all seem to know that one. So when I play The Wall, I tend to start right after Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. I just get annoyed by that. I don't know why, but I'm not a fast fan of that song.
Well, where the Arby's is, there used to be a drive-in, and we would drive by, and you could see where the thing was sitting. You could see the movie when you drove by the movie theater, the drive-in. And I remember The Wall playing for so long and just going by. And not that I would hear that song, but I don't know why I just think about that when I think about Another Brick in the Wall.
Yeah.
It's just,
but again, that's a song, even if you didn't know Pink Floyd, you could probably go to someone and say, are you a fan of Pink Floyd? And they're going to tell you no. But if you were to sing that, they would be familiar with it or they've heard it. I mean, there's a lot of songs like that. But that one in particular, I think, is the anthem of Pink Floyd when it comes to that and Comfortably Numb, the two songs that people tend to know without knowing it's Pink Floyd.
And we went to see the Us versus Them when they did that whole, of course they were doing the political stuff too, but it was just great when they were doing, Dark Side, and they built the whole triangle and everything, with the lights. And we would just had the seats kind of like almost right there in the middle where we could see the whole thing being built. It was just a really cool thing.
He really does put on a great show. If you just kind of leave the politics out, it would be lovely. Not that he's listening to me. You just want to go to a show to be entertained and not to stress you out. And at the time, the political climate was awful in a normal setting, and to spend that much money and travel that far for a concert, I'm not going to say it took the fun out of it, but it did deflate my balloon a little bit.
And I was just trying to shield you from Zane because Zane went with us, and I knew you were going to probably be worried about him not being too much into it, covering his face and his ears and everything.
Yeah, he had to go by default. I kind of do feel bad because he was not into it. He was not happy to be there, but he was not old enough to leave him at the hotel alone, especially in Philly. So he went because we were going. So he was not happy. He didn't throw a fit. He did fine. He just did not enjoy it.
When you heard his explanation for it.
I did.
And that was, I thought, really a cool thing, because sometimes you don't know when you're going to see an artist for the first time what people are experiencing, what they're thinking about. And you're thinking for them, maybe they're thinking this or thinking that. And I really do, he really did enjoy the music. He just thought that it was too loud. So you thinking that he's covering his ears, both of us maybe thinking, oh, he doesn't really like it. But he did like it. It was just too loud for him. So he did. And we play the music all the time, so he's got to like it a little bit. If not, you can't really get out of the car. But we played enough of Floyd that if you hang out with us you have to like it a little bit.
It may not ever be his first choice, but I'm pretty sure that if it came on the radio, I don't know that he would change the channel.
He probably would keep it there.
Yeah, kind of like my affinity with the Rolling Stones, my lack of interest in them. And the only reason that I will listen to them on the radio now is, first of all, I realize it's them now because I was not a Rolling Stones fan, but you dragged me to that concert. And so now I realize and I can appreciate the show they put on, that they're 1,200 years old and they're still jumping around a stage like they're 18. So now I will never turn it on purposely, but I don't change the channel if it comes on the radio.
It's just, if you know anything about Michelle, if you had to put her in a certain decade, it would be the 60s, more than likely.
I could support that.
Yeah, and she's like a 60s girl. When I said, let's go see the Rolling Stones, she's like, I don't know the Rolling Stones. I don't know what they sing. I'm like, you know what they sing.
I, at the time, only knew Paint It Black only because of Full Metal Jacket.
But you knew the songs. I mean, when I started listening off the songs, you knew,
I
and
knew
you had
songs,
heard, yeah.
but I did not realize that's who it was.
And when we went to see them, like, you didn't downright love them.
Yeah.
But you were experiencing.
Yeah, I appreciated the concert. I was not standing up. I was not, going crazy, but I did appreciate the concert.
And they put on a really good show.
It was pretty good. I have to say, of all the concerts we've seen, the older generation singers put on a much better concert than the younger generation singers. 21 Pilots may be the exception to that rule for me, but Billy Joel and Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones, Roger Waters, they go out and they put on shows. I mean, they're out there. They don't leave. They don't come, leave and come back. I think Billy Joel did leave to change his shirt and then he came back. I mean, but they put on concerts and you get your money's worth, and it's amazing.
And when you say they're putting on concerts, it's not that they're jumping around. It's not that they're lighting their hair on fire. It's mainly the experience.
Yeah.
It's mainly, the talking about, like with Paul McCartney, he's talking about giving such great stories. Yeah.
And the people that paid for their show.
Roger Waters and Pink Floyd have always put on a light show, some kind of laser show, and they push the envelope. Roger Waters pushes the envelope every time with something different. He had that whole screen thing in the middle where he had animals, the power station from that.
The Wall concert is a great example. We saw it up at Phillies Field, up in Philadelphia, where Phillies play. And when you hear the sound effects and during The Wall, it would come across in stereo. So you heard it across the field, and then it would slowly come around to you and then go back around again. So it made you feel like you were part of. I mean, if you know The Wall, you knew that it was like the planes flying overhead and, the story of The Wall, but you felt like there were actually planes coming towards you. And I mean, it really well thought out and really well put together, but it was a true experience rather than just a band playing in front of you.
Yeah. And that was the first show that I think I've ever gone to where it was surround sound. Normally you have all the speakers in the front of the stage and they're just pushing the music out to you.
Yeah.
This was actually surround sound at that stadium, which was just awesome. It was
amazing.
It was just amazing. And then they're building the wall. So they do the whole first half. They're building the wall, and then the wall is built.
Yeah.
And then they're still doing the show. They're knocking little parts of it down, and they're not really knocking it down, but little parts of it are opening up. But they're playing behind this wall.
Yeah. And
then at the end, they knock it down because it's like tear down the wall. I mean, so it's just like an awesome, awesome experience.
No, that was a show.
Well, what is your favorite band?
So, I honestly don't know that I can narrow it down to one. I know it sounds like it should be Pink Floyd. Equally, I love Billy Joel. I love the Beatles. And honestly, I love Bobby Darin. I know I didn't talk about him, but I love some good old school music. I love Oldies Channel. That's all I listened to when I was in high school. I would listen to the Oldies Channel when I would travel in college. I mean, I listened to modern music as well, and top 20 kind of situations, and to go old school, like you said, the Beatles. I don't know. I know there's people out there that don't love the Beatles. I love the Beatles. I appreciate all of them. I like a lot of their single stuff. And I tend to like older Beatles rather than the younger Beatles. The younger Beatles is a little bit too much cutesy fun. When I was younger, I appreciated that so much more. And now it's a little bit, I don't want to say cheesy. I love them, but I appreciate the quirky older Beatles.
Well, and you know that I'm not a big Beatles fan, or wasn't until I met you. And, they have that whole line in that movie about what's actually, I guess it's a, scene that was cut from the movie, Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
Where she's talking about Beatles people and Elvis people. I've always been an Elvis person. You can tell by my hair and my style and everything. But I have to say, you like the older Beatles. I like the earlier Beatles. But with this story that somebody didn't watch with you, I really got into that album. And I've always, one of my favorite songs.
You didn't stop listening to it for days, and it kind of just rubbed salt in the wound. I'm just saying.
I know, and I'm sorry for that. But, Let It Be has always been one of my favorite songs. My mom had that in her collection, and it was a yellow 45 vinyl, and I would play that as a kid. I just loved that song. And just to watch them do that, I have more appreciation for the Beatles. Not that I never really gave them, I know they're big time. Like I've always known they're big time. They sell so many records and that kind of thing. But I've just always liked the earlier Beatles, and I have probably been playing the Let It Be.
You did.
Too much for you.
It became a little bit of a problem. So when I was in high school and a little bit younger and even into college, I would listen to, so if you're going to separate the Beatles into older and younger, the Red and Blue albums. I loved the Red album when I was younger. I very rarely, no, I don't want to say rarely, but 2 to 1, I would listen to the Red album. Now that I'm older, if I'm in the car and I'm going to listen to it, I tend to go towards the Blue albums, or the Blue album, kind of genre. I do love the Beatles, probably equally to Pink Floyd. But Pink Floyd, I think, relaxes me. So if I'm stressed or upset or sad or, along those lines, kind of melancholy, Pink Floyd goes with that vibe. And so I tend to go towards that. If I'm in the shower, I'm going to listen towards, to that if I've had a rough day or, just want to kind of decompress. But if I'm in the car and I want to sing, I'm going to go towards the Beatles. Billy Joel's very equal opportunity. He's on my list of, we joke around, my five people that I've listened to this past year.
Yeah, over 2021, they had the thing on Spotify where you look at all your artists, and Michelle had like 5.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to get her to branch out. Like we were driving down to the beach recently, and I told her, I said, you need to get more than your 5. So we added Bob Marley, which is one of your favorite. I have not
listened to Bob in a while, and that was fun because I'm kicking it old school. I used to listen to Bob quite a bit. I do listen to more than 5 artists. But on Spotify, I tend to listen to more podcasts. And I think that's where Spotify was just very confused over what I listened to. However, my top 2, okay, I'll narrow it down to 2. I'll do 3. Okay, I can only do 3.
And that's
Floyd,
fine.
The Beatles, and Billy Joel.
And I know when you're listening to Floyd, you're listening to the whole album because it's like you have to listen to the whole album. So just put a pin in that for a second. With the Beatles, what albums are you listening to? Are you just listening to the blue and the red?
So I tend to listen to the blue and red because it's a good mix where I don't have to. There's some albums that I have to listen to in a row. I don't want it shuffled. The Beatles are different. I don't mind that being shuffled. And so the red and blue albums will give me longevity of not having to switch. And so because they're not the longest songs. I mean, it's not like it's Pink Floyd where you have, a 9-minute song. These are, just a minute, or sometimes it feels like it's a 30-second song. Some of them are really short. Yeah, I probably listen to the red and blue albums on shuffle. Not entirely, but I think that it's probably 75% of the time it's easier for me to just throw that on, put it on shuffle. Or if I'm feeling a little spunky, I'll put on the red album. But just because I don't want to sift through, like I want to listen to this song, but this one's on this album or this is on this album. The red and blue, they're the hits. There are some that aren't on there. And so that's when you kind of have to go back. I've never created a Beatles playlist. I've looked at a few on Spotify and people, you can tell they're just like, it's basically redoing the blue and white red albums. So
that would be interesting for you to do a playlist for the Beatles.
We like some obscure Beatles. Not obscure. I don't necessarily always want to listen to Hey Jude or, She Loves You. Those are the ones that you can catch almost anywhere.
What about with Floyd? Because we always have this debate on which Floyd album is the best. And it always kind of changes.
So, yeah, I don't think that we see eye to eye on it. Momentary Lapse of Reason is probably my favorite, which is so weird because I'm so I'm so pro Roger Waters. But Momentary Lapse of Reason, I love that album. And then I would probably go Dark Side, and then The Wall are my top 3. I know that's very commercial sounding, but
yeah, mine has changed because I said Another Brick in the Wall, so The Wall was kind of mine.
It was always
for a
your
long
favorite,
time.
yeah.
But I think Dark Side became my favorite. But then, Wish You Were Here kind of coincides. So it's kind of between Wish You Were Here and Dark Side. But if I had to pick,
Wish You Were Here is good.
Dark Side, I think I listen to more.
Yeah, Wish You Were Here is good, but it's if you can get through Shine On Me Crazy Diamond, my brain couldn't think of the song. It's so long, and it just stops you at the beginning, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, if I could just get through in the 9-minute intro or whatever it is, feels like it's forever. But Momentary Lapse of Reason, I can put that on, and it doesn't even matter what mood I'm in. It'll make me smile if I'm upset. It'll comfort me. It'll get me in the mood to just want to sing and chill or just sit back and relax, or I can even clean. It really is a good album for me. Just wholeheartedly can be in any kind of mood and listen to that.
Yeah, so I think for me it would be Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, and then The Wall. That's how I think I would roll.
So Momentary Lapse isn't on there.
I think Momentary Lapse, we like that one, so I would listen to that one too. Yeah.
Where's it on your list?
Probably 4.
Okay, and Wish You Were Here is probably on my 4.
So it's about the same, just a little bit mix up. A little bit different.
Yeah, I know The Wall's high on your list.
Well, it's 3 now. It used to be higher, but it's 3. I think I listen to Dark Side more. I think Dark Side speaks to me more.
I think as a family of 4, we listen to Dark Side together the most, I would say, at least.
And that's probably accurate. So with Billy Joel, we have this debate, from the Catalina wine mixer. If it's 80s Joel or if it's 70s Joel, what Joel do you feel like you listen to more often? What albums, or do you listen to albums? Is it the greatest hits?
I don't listen to albums, but again, there's actually a Spotify playlist that I found for Billy Joel that I play, and it is mostly his hits. But if you just put in Billy Joel and just press play on Spotify, they really do a good mix. I don't like that it always starts with the same stuff. I think I probably like younger Billy Joel rather than 80s Joel. I wouldn't be good at the Catalina wine mixer. No, I love Billy Joel. I do. But I think I probably like older Joel better than, although I love Longest Time, and that's 80s, right? Yeah, that's probably my favorite Billy Joel song. So maybe I am 80s. I'm a secret 80s fan.
Well, we have in our collection, for those who haven't listened to the podcast and don't know, and this is your first one that you're listening to, we have Pink Floyd is probably number 1. Billy Joel is either number 2 or 3. Doors, I think, is up there.
The Doors?
And the Beatles, yeah. So I think the Beatles maybe 2, 3, I don't remember. But those are like probably the top 5 albums that we have the most of. But I believe Pink Floyd, we have like 20.
I know the Beatles and Pink Floyd went neck and neck for so long.
I think the Doors are up there. I'm not sure exactly where they are. And I know Billy Joel is like 14 or so albums. So that's probably our top 5 if we had to look at how many vinyl records that we have of those artists.
We did find a good greatest hits for Billy Joel for like $1.
Yeah, that first greatest hits 1 and 2.
Yeah,
we did find for $1. It was at the Steady Sounds, which is no longer there, and that was a great find. That was a record store day find when they had all those out the door.
Yeah, that was after our.
We spent so much money that day. Oh my goodness,
that was the first record store day for us, though.
Yeah, it was April 2016 when we kind of. Got into the record store day and what that all meant. And for us, that first record store day, it had nothing to do with any of the new records. We didn't even really know about that. We were just trying to build up our collection, going for the older vinyl.
Not the best day to go shopping like that.
Yeah, but we did, and we spent probably too much money, but it was fun. All right, so are you ready?
Sure.
All right, we're into the final question, so we're going to give you the drum roll. How has music impacted your life?
So I kind of already touched on it. Kind of wish I wouldn't have, because now I don't feel like I have a good answer for that. But like when I'm upset or bummed or stressed or you make me mad, you can go to music and it just, it's like your best friend or your therapist or, I don't know. It just kind of comforts you. But I also like that we can bond as a family. The kids are getting older and we can still get in the car and go to dinner and sing. And so, it kind of has created almost like a fifth person in our family to bring us all together. I know that's an odd thing to say, but it kind of has just made our family closer because we all bond over different music. And we truly do like different music, all of us. You and Mara bond a little bit closer when it comes to like 21 Pilots and that type of music. And Zane is, he'll sit there and tear up some Frank Sinatra when he's showering, and I can,
it's so funny.
He'll be so mad that I said
he
that.
He probably is. I can't believe you said that.
And dude has a deep voice now, so
deeper than mine. Like when he was on the podcast, I was like, try to tell us apart. He's got the deeper voice.
So when he's singing, I don't know. I just think it's fun and amazing, and to just all of us, just in the car is a big deal because we've spent so much time when the kids were younger driving back and forth to Florida and singing the entire time, playing all those Disney CDs over and over and over and over again. And there's Disney songs that they know that never even saw the movie because they're not out anymore. Like Songs Out. They know all of those songs.
It was the box set, that blue box set with 3 CDs in it.
Yeah,
and the book and everything. We got that before. I think one of us got it before we were. Was it before we were together? Did we get it after we were together? I don't remember. But we had that before the kids.
There. Yeah, we just, and the kids always would listen to it. And at the time, we had Greenie, my Mazda 5. and it had a 5 CD changer. And so we could have all the albums in there back to back. And we knew what songs were on what album or what CD and what number they were. And we would just, sing it and almost have our own little playlist from it.
It went from the beginning of Disney all the way up to, I think it was, what was it? The Beauty and the Beast.
I think Beauty and the Beast was on there, but that was it.
They stopped at Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great because we would get ready for Disney and we would leave in the middle of the night and then we'd almost be down there and, close to being down, probably Georgia, and they'd wake up.
We'd get to Georgia in the morning because we'd stop at Chick-fil-A for breakfast.
And then they would wake up and we'd be playing Disney songs all the way down. And we would all be singing Disney songs. And even when we got in the park, we were singing Disney songs because we've been singing them so much. And then leave Disney, we'd still be singing Disney songs. And then on the way home.
We did it again this year. We went to Disney in May and we still did it. So, it kind of just music brings you back to a place that obviously we can't time travel to, but, it makes a 19-year-old girl seem like, she's 6 again wearing her Tinkerbell dress into the Magic Kingdom. And I don't know, it's a very cool experience.
And then Zane's 16. I remember when you guys both got sick that one time, and him and I went to, what was it? The Animal Kingdom, and he was dressed as Mickey Mouse, and Minnie Mouse was trying to, get rid of Mickey Mouse so that could be her new Mickey Mouse, and he wasn't trying to have it. And it brings him back, and he's 16.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. And then, hanging out with all the kids, not too recently, and our nieces and nephews, we had a car full and we were all just singing, Phantom and Queen.
Yeah.
And
so Mara and I
kind of
travel a lot for skating. She skates and she does competitive skating. And when we are traveling, we listen to Phantom quite a bit, or the morning of a meet and we're driving to the venue and she wants to listen. It's kind of her decompress, and I'm talking full on Phantom, almost at maximum volume in the car, and we're tearing it up, pulling up, and people are staring at us like we're crazy. But it's the way she decompresses. I think her and I getting into that vibe together allows her to chill out, not to get stressed, but you can kind of bond over. You don't have to talk. You don't have to say anything. You just sing.
Yeah, if you know anything about Michelle and Zane, they don't like it loud. Mara and I love it all the way up.
Yeah.
We want it as loud as it can possibly be, especially if it's a good song. We're like, turn it up.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than Mara or John being in my car and getting in the car at 5:30 in the morning and the radio is blaring. It is terrible.
Because we were in the car the night before.
Yes. Phantom is different. So I will say I'll let her turn that up. First of all, I can't sing Phantom without it being turned up loud because
you don't want anybody to hear you.
It would be awful for anyone.
Well, did you have anything else to add?
No, I appreciate you leaving me for last.
Well, I wanted to get the boss lady for last because, she's the one in charge around here and she is the heart and soul of what we do around here. And this is the season finale, so you get to kind of wrap it all up and put a nice bow on it. This season, we did, friends and family. And I think we had a good mix of folks that came on and talked about a lot of different stuff, but a lot of same different stuff. All in the same time.
Yeah, I think what everyone feels about music is different, but ultimately the bottom line is that it does the same thing for everyone. It's just the different music that speaks to you, and finding that music that speaks to you goes a long way. It's kind of like finding, that perfect, way to make toast or make, the right crispiness of fries or something. Everyone's different and,
Yeah, we're different and we're the same. And we're going to do another season. We're going to get into season 2 in 2022. Not sure how many episodes we'll have this season. This is the 10th episode, so we've had 10. Might try to strive for another 10 for season 2. But so this is the end of season 1, and we want to thank you for going under the musical influence of today's guest, Michelle Korusek, going under the influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. Go under the influence on Instagram at DJJONNIBRAVO _ under the influence. That's DJJONNIBRAVO _ under the influence. Please subscribe to Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo, where you listen to your podcast. Also let your friends know. I'm Johnny Bravo. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
are no longer under the influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. Until next week.